good at what they do. Make sure you check.
Yeah.
Technology always works, right?
Hmm?
Technology always works.
No. No, don't even start.
All right, we are now live streaming.
Not me.
Now, out of the way.
So,
Technology almost
Never
works.
See that last match?
Hi, how are you?
Really?
Good.
Yeah, because I'm vice president right now and you move up.
Okay, well, you need to tell me when that comes out.
I'm good.
yeah, we are now live streaming on YouTube, so don't tell any big secrets because the microphone will pick it up and it will be on the internet forever. So be prepared.
Wow.
You're it for a year.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a busy year,
Live
though,
stream that.
because you have to run all the meetings.
Yeah.
and keep up with all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
You're triple
That's
checking
really
yourself
cool.
there.
Well, when October comes.
I've had enough go wrong in my career to know to actually check it out.
They have you take over the December meeting.
No, we didn't tie
President.
cords in the knot, so we went halfway. No.
Some famous people.
While you were outside.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Or you folks, I don't know if you were up at
I thought maybe somebody was watching.
Firecracker.
Well,
The entire system blew up in the middle of
Were you
fireworks.
here, Bernie?
Ever since.
Yeah. Behind me.
That's what happened.
Hey,
I was just glad it wasn't so windy today.
Just as we were starting the national anthem, the PA.
Yeah.
Front.
Yeah.
Hey, can you do a check one, check two into the microphone to see what the, so I can see what the.
In that wind, it's, all
This
plugged
one?
up,
Yep.
eyes are itching. Yeah.
Check 1 2, check 1 2.
Perfect, thank you.
Hello, hello, hello.
But it works.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Leroy, I like your tie.
Thank you.
It's sharp.
Picked it up myself.
Did you
No
really?
help whatsoever.
Wow.
Carla, is that true?
There's one that I had
There's the reason we have two cars. We're never going in the same direction at the same
Yeah.
time.
I don't think Jerry and I have been in a car together for,
See?
oh, yeah, we had to drive to the airport together going.
So you did just like we did, met him at Mexico window for supper.
No,
Oh,
no, he's.
we had two cars.
He's still out working.
No, the other night, you guys went there. Did you go together?
Oh, Sunday morning. We did go together, never mind.
There you go.
There we go.
I caught you.
I forgot. We were both starving to death, and we had a half an hour, we're like, let's hurry up and eat.
There's another light switch.
Got a half an hour,
And this
slice of
all
bread,
over
no
here to
peanut butter.
turn those-
Yeah.
That's about to eat.
Oh, where is it?
It's by that east door there. On you're facing the door, it's on the right.
There's some
Very
lights
well.
that are off. Brian Beagle.
You're Brian. I never recognized. Did you run? What did you run for?
Commissioner 2 years ago.
Behind you.
Behind me?
No.
Right, that'll work. Little tacos.
Hey, all right.
Thank you very much.
They hit those really well.
Glad I got the sun. A little dark. Oh, great. I worked hard at all. I was getting the sun all day. Wind more than anything gets you.
Well, the interview process likes Leroy well through. My
Today was nice. Not too bad.
When is the application process?
It starts raining tomorrow.
Have to have your.
Thursday night, Friday,
Yeah, they moved the track meet up a couple hours, so that would be.
Really?
1 to 2 o'clock in the morning, I think. On Friday.
Well, that's ways away, we're in Blair. Trying to leave at 6:15.
Here, anybody else?
It's a long day. Oh, yeah.
Where's it at? In where?
Blair. Yuck. I only do one at the old fridge, but this one was there instead.
Oh,
told you, just more fun. Last year, or maybe 2 years ago, we had a tornado on the way back from Old Ridge, so that was crazy.
We'll go to Blair next time.
Careful, it'll fall you.
No, Caroline's playing tennis.
Yeah.
Hastings all that. All day.
So she'll be done when she comes home.
Remember to wear sunscreen.
Yeah. It's not that high UV, but when you're out in.
Yeah, all day, it'll burn you.
I had sunscreen on today, it didn't stop it. It's still got lit up. They went and give themselves an
It
introduction.
feels cool. And then-
Sunscreen.
Yeah,
it
just
was.
us.
It was very cool.
We did it for like a couple minutes, introduce themselves and talk about who they are and then start questions. And let them all
Yeah.
close out with something.
Not so
For the
many
questions, how
claims
long do you
yet.
want me to tell it? Yeah.
Oh, we did what, two minutes
Yeah.
before? I don't think anybody
Everybody
ever
that calls
hit
it
it,
claim
No.
right now, I'm like, are you sure?
Not many anyway.
but, no, but, well, a few years ago, we had one person.
Just hold the finger up and we'll know.
We had
it's
to
time
keep shutting
quit.
them down all the time.
Just go like this and we'll know it's time to quit.
I'll just be like, wrap it up.
Or just do this.
That's right.
I can get fined by the NFL.
I could fire a shot in the air, maybe.
There you go.
Put out a light.
Every time, 30 seconds.
That might be a little excessive, but, you know, a little, but,
They get the point right away.
yeah,
That sounds more like Gunsmoke or something.
yeah.
Let's see. You'll have one microphone. We'll give everybody a 2-minute introduction. Just tell everybody a little bit about yourselves, why you're running, stuff like that. We'll start with Leroy and just work our way down. And then we've got 18 questions in the cup. We'll just pull them out random. In the past, we've had a lot of repeat questions. There will be no repeat questions this year. Everything will be unique to the person answering, so I believe we'll plan on doing 4 questions a person.
Mhm.
You'll have 2 minutes to answer. You don't have to take the 2 minutes, but when you get to about 2 minutes, I'll give you the signal, letting you know to wrap it up and pass the microphone on to the next guy.
Okay, so you have the mic and then they'll ask you the question specifically, is that how it works?
Yeah, we'll start out,
Each person gets a different question.
each person will get a different question.
Okay.
And
Because
you'll-
somebody's very talkative and wordy and keeps writing and writing.
Where?
Yeah, you'll never hear the same question twice. So.
And this microphone here, this is the mic that you'll all use, just pass it down. It's the PA mic, so people can hear you in here, but this will also go over the air. So, try not to swear.
We're not on delay?
We do have a delay back at the station, but unfortunately, I can't push the button from here. So, with Doug and Frank in the way, we have to have a delay. And we will go in about 4 minutes here. Everybody ready? We'll give people a few more minutes to get in here. Should I start out by reading the prepared statement?
Oh, yeah.
What is Nick's last name?
Wallenberg.
Test, 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 hello, 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 test. What's the Would they just stream it on a webpage, or do I have to direct them to YouTube? Or?
You should be able to just go to coolradionow.com.
So he asked me as county commissioner, right?
Yes, York County Commissioner.
I knew that. Doubt creeps in and I don't have it in my
No,
notes.
you're fine.
Especially partisan.
All right, we will be going in about 50 seconds. And I will just be using my headset mic, so hopefully I talk loud enough that you guys can hear me, because I will not be going through the PA. And Joe, it's Burgess, right?
Yep.
Okay. And good evening and welcome everybody to our forum that we are having tonight. Of course, we have a very important election year coming up, and we're going to be talking to the guys that are running for the York County Commissioner tonight. Hello, I am Gene Curtis. I invite everybody who could not make it down to the Kilgore Memorial Library tonight to live stream us. We are on coolradionow.com. That is with a K, coolradionow.com. We've got that set up, or thank you very much for tuning in to Cool Radio tonight. First of all, we have a prepared statement. We have 5 candidates for the York County Commissioner. One of them could not make it tonight, but he does have a pretty good reason. This is a prepared statement from Nick Wallenberg, and he says, due to an unexpected emergency, Nick had stepped forward to help another airman out during these tough times, stepping in to help the Air National Guard with their upcoming deployment, which started yesterday. Therefore, unfortunately, Nick will not be able to join us tonight, but he does invite anyone that would like to hear his responses to the questions asked tonight to reach out to him next week, as he will be back to normal day-to-day operations. So unfortunately, because he has been deployed, Nick Wallenberg will not be with us this evening. However, we'd like to thank our other candidates for joining us tonight, and we will go around the room and we'll give everybody a couple of minutes to introduce themselves and tell everybody why exactly they are running for York County Commissioner. And we will start off with Leroy Ott. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, and thanks for having this for all of us so that people can both watch us online and be here. There's people in the room actually this evening, so appreciate people showing up also. I think the reason I'm running for county commissioner is that over the last 25 years, I have been an insurance agent and served the people of York County in that manner, and I've seen people all over the county, help them with their needs and their worries and try and figure things out so things go well for them. And probably the best example I have is what a York County person's like is we had to go to this guy's place because his house got rolled down the hill by a tornado, and he met my wife and I, and we came up and said, man, it's terrible. He goes, and he looked at us and he said, no, I'm blessed. We're all okay. We're blessed. And that's the kind of people that live in York County. They know what matters, and they're worth serving, and so that's why I'm running for the Commissioner of District 2. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That was Leroy Ott. Now we will go to Eric Brecky. Eric, please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for York County Commissioner.
Well, I first want to say thank you for having this forum and inviting us all to share our thoughts. I'm 50 years old. I've lived in York for 24 years. I'm married to my wife, Michelle, for 25 years. I have 3 daughters, Sophia, Claire, and Caroline. And I just enjoy this community. I wanted to share a little bit about my past, some of my experiences since high school, After high school, I joined the Army and served airborne artillery at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. After my tour of duty, I went back to Iowa, where I'm originally from. Helped out a farmer, plus I worked at Winnebago Industries in manufacturing. In '95, I moved to Nebraska. And I worked for my brother-in-law, driving truck over the road for a couple years. And then I decided to go back to school, and I got my massage therapy license and did massage therapy for 21 years. Kind of at the end of that, it kind of overlapped with me joining the York Fire Department as a volunteer for 4 years. And then that's followed by the last 11 years I've been a career firefighter. So I've enjoyed that. I just want to mention kind of my path, because I've had a lot of different experiences. Some high stress situations in the military and at the fire department where we have to work together to get a job done. And I think that'll serve me well. I'm hoping it's not that stressful in meetings, but I think we can work together to solve the problems of York County so we can have a great county to raise a family in. I know that no one wants to pay more taxes than they have to, but I believe that we want services as well. So I look forward to trying to work out what's the most important for the county and help out in any way I can.
All right, thank you very much. That was Eric Brecky, and he passes the microphone down. And now we're going to hear from Joe Burgess. Joe, please tell everybody a little bit about yourself and why you are running for York County Commission.
I'm Joe Burgess. I'm maybe known a little bit better as Joe B around here. The Burgess family has been in York for almost 50 years now, and so pretty good stake in that and want to keep it a good place. And my dad graduated high school at York High School in 1985, and I'm graduating in 3 weeks or so. And I'm running because of my experiences with Boise State, which taught me about being in a legislative body and working together with other people on trying to compromise and work together to solve problems. And it can be frustrating at times, but it was really eye-opening to show that government is actually a place where real people come together and try to make your community better. And then I was talking to Daniel Groats, who currently serves on the board, because we have Bible study, and I was talking with him about the time requirements and everything like that, and I realized that this was something that I could do to help serve my community. And so I believe that I'm a good candidate for this because I am a fast learner, and there's a lot of learning when it comes to being a county commissioner, and for anyone that's going to come into it, it's going to require a lot of learning to know how it works. And then I believe that my youth and my enthusiasm and energy would be an asset to the board, and I believe that you should vote for Joe B.
All right, thank you very much. That is Joe Burgess. And finally, he hands the microphone off to our final candidate that is here tonight, Dean Heine. And Dean, please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for York County Commission.
First of all, I'm the oldest candidate of 79. I've lived in York County except for 4 years when I attended Kearney State College and earned my bachelor's of arts degree plus 18 hours at the University of Nebraska. So with a teaching degree, when I graduated, I was accepted at Aurora High School for my student teaching position, and a former neighbor of mine was the superintendent at the time, whom I supposedly was going to marry his daughter, but it never worked out. So I went back and used my farming background. I was started when my father passed away, and I was left with the farm, and yet I was entering my first year of employment at Osceola Public Schools in Osceola. So driving the country roads from York to Polk County, I've certainly seen a lot of changes. Back to my crops, 56 of them have come and gone. The first one I have already mentioned, my father passed away. The last one was recently when I decided it was time to rent the farm ground out and give it up. This allows me to have all the extra time I need. It's due to have some extra time. I owe a lot of people that served on this commission before that. Thank you.
All right, and that is Dean Heine. Okay, here's how it will work tonight. I have got a bowl in front of me here that has 18 different questions in them. We will give each candidate one question at a time, and they will each get 4 questions. So there will be no repeat questions. In the past when we've done this, we have had some repeats. This time everybody will get their own individual question. So we'll start once again with Leroy, and we'll reach in and we'll draw out your question. And please give us your answer to this. And again, we will have the timer running when we get to 2 minutes. If you get to 2 minutes, I'll have you wrap it up, but don't worry about stopping at 2 minutes. You still have plenty of time to wrap things up. Again, I want to thank everybody that is tuning in on the air tonight, and if you would like to watch this, you can tune in on coolradionow.com. That is cool with a K, coolradionow.com. And thank you very much for tuning in to Cool Radio. All right, Leroy, here is your question. There is a possibility that inheritance tax might be repealed in Nebraska. It's been a very important revenue source for counties for decades. If it is repealed, what do you feel the ramifications will be for the county, and what types of expenses should be cut if that is the case?
I hope that it is never repealed completely, and not everybody likes to hear that, but what really needs to happen to inheritance tax is the farther a person is away from the person who passes away, the higher that tax. It's 1% if you're son, daughter. So, but when you start being niece, nephew, cousin and get money, then they're taxing them 13, 14, 15, and it just keeps going up. That's what needs to be changed. And I know that NACO, which works with county officials, Governor Pillen is working with him to try and work out a way to where we minimize how much inheritance tax is being collected rather than completely get rid of it, because I went and listened to the legislature, to witnesses. So many county commissioners, police chiefs went and testified, you cannot do this, you have to replace the money if you take it away. And so I think they got that message, and it just needs to be reformed. It doesn't, York County used it this past winter. They have about $1 million in there, maybe more, but they used $200,000. It was to get roads open so cattlemen could get feed to their cattle, so they could get somebody to the hospital was one of them. They hired farmers that live in the county to take out their machinery and clear roads because they didn't have enough to get them cleared. So I don't think counties waste money, and I think that was what they were thinking, was counties were using this as a slush fund. Every county that testified there said they were using it as an emergency fund. If they want to get rid of inheritance tax, then let's let them try and get rid of unfunded mandates.
All right, thank you very much. That is Leroy Ott. He'll pass the microphone on to Eric Brecken here, and let's get your question. Eric, one of the biggest jobs undertaken by the county board is the annual budget. With the increases in cost of everything in today's world, it is a tough job to hold the expenses within the same realm year after year. Do you feel that there are areas for cutting costs?
Well, I would need to really dig into the budget and discuss it with other commissioners. But with inflation going up, I know that salaries are a big part of the budget, but we need to continue to be competitive on wages so we get quality workers, we can retain quality workers. But if that comes the way it goes, I think we just need to go line item by line item. I don't have anything specifically that I think needs to go first, but I think that we just need to sit down and talk about it and see where it goes. But this inflation is a little out of hand, and it is a concern. And there are ways to cut some money, but I think we're run fairly lean right now. So I don't have any issues with the way that the county's been run. I just would love to be involved in trying to make it as efficient as possible.
All right, thank you very much. That is Eric Brecky. We'll do a quick shake here and we'll hand the microphone off to Joe Burgess. Joe, your first question tonight is, what do you feel are the most important areas of spending when it comes to the York County budget?
Well, this goes along with the previous question that you just heard about what areas should be cut and everything like that. And I think it really comes down to it. It's reanalyzing what we believe are the fundamental services that the government is supposed to provide. And I think county government, it's obviously supposed to be the roads and infrastructure like that. That is one of the big ones. And the sheriff's department and running the law enforcement and the jail is very important as well. So those two things. And I know education is the third major thing that I know of besides the salaries that all the money goes to for the different workers. And I believe with an overall philosophy that the government should be kept as small as possible and responsible as possible, and so that those areas, if there's anything that's pulling money away from those other things, and if, as we know with inflation going up and costs going up for things, we can't let anything that isn't one of those essential things be taking money away from the roads or keeping those open and keeping those in good condition, or from the schools or from the sheriff's department. We need to make sure that those are being funded first and foremost. And when cuts need to be taking place, that those need to be make sure that we're still providing those essential things.
All right, thank you very much. That was Joe Burgess, and he will pass the microphone down to Dean Heine. And Dean, here is your first question of the evening. There has been mention of starting the work on the zoning regulations for wind-generated energy projects in York County, as wind projects might be proposed. What are your thoughts about such projects and what regulations should be put in place?
Wind is following solar, and we've spent many hours looking at it and expecting the final results. It's not a quick solution. Water, air are all going to be important. You also read in the paper recently about a CO2 pipeline that has finally attracted the attention of the old Nebraska people, that we're now going to have a better and higher expectation from the results of people applying for pipelines. All of these are important. I guess solar probably will last 25 years. And about that time, I hope nuclear energy comes into play. What's going to happen to the solar? What's going to happen to all the windmills and towers? Something we need to consider to keep the ag and livestock industries in Nebraska at the foremost.
All right, thank you very much. That is Dean Heine. Okay, that is our first round of questions. We will now pass the microphone back down to Leroy Ott. And here is your second question for the evening. What do you want to see the county board do differently than they are right now?
One thing that I experienced being on the York Parks and Rec Advisory Board. It's just an advisory board, but a lady by the name of Margaret Brink was on the city council and came in and asked what their 1, 5, and 10-year plan was. And they were like, what? What's a 1, 5? If you don't prepare, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. We have a roads program for 1, 5, and 6 years. I think there's other departments that quite definitely could do the same thing. And that's where you could take care of some of your money problems looking forward, instead of it just falling on you every year, this is what we have to get, this is what we need. If you prepare and say, we're gonna need a county sheriff's car every 3 years, when we do, then you put that in that plan for that area. And if you're gonna need maintainers for out in the country, if you prepare, you can make it work. If you make a plan, and yes, things come up, so you have to change your plan, but at least if you have something written down, you have something to work with when those situations come up. So I think just trying to get other departments, other than just the roads doing their road schedule, 1, 5, 6 year plan, would benefit the county also.
All right, thank you very much, Leroy. Okay, let's check this up as he passes the microphone on to Eric Brecky. And Eric, here is your second question. Is there a specific issue that you would want to address if you are elected?
Well, I think it is preparing, like Leroy said, for the future. My example would be preparing for windmills or whatever else might come up, work on those zoning problems ahead of time so you can have it worked out. So if a company comes to you with a project, they're like, we want to bring some windmills in here. We can take our zoning and say, this is what we got. Let us know if that's going to work for you. We might have a little wiggle room if there's some situations, but if I may, just a little bit with Dean's question too, preparing for wind, that I would have some concerns with taking away farmable land. I have a concern with that. And we have some pasture land, we have some special land that's maybe not as farmable. I think we should concentrate on not taking land out of circulation for annual crops and put it where there is not as much, going to be a hit on the economy of the county. But I think just planning ahead, working on some stuff ahead so we're prepared to hand that to developers or companies that want to come into the county.
All right, thank you very much. That was Eric Brecky. Shake this thing up. Let's grab another question out of here. This one will be directed at Joe Burgess. Joe, do you feel there is enough transparency between county commissioners, county offices, and the public?
I feel that there is a good level of transparency. I know that the commissioners do make themselves available to the public through calls and emails and whatever else. I don't know how much the public uses that. I know I was talking to Daniel, he gets quite a few calls about roads or whenever there's weather or something, but as far as between the departments and transparency and stuff, I'm not sure. I know that the meetings that I've been to, the one we toured the whole courthouse and the whole board went through the entire courthouse with the sheriff and just through the different daily operations of what they do at the jail and things like that. So I think that's good communication right there. And talking about in the future what things will need to be replaced, such as they were talking about security systems and things like that. And then the other thing that with the transparency is I know that all the meetings are open and we have public hearings. There's public hearings that are available to the public and that they can go to and speak their mind. And so I believe that transparency is in a good spot. It's really just up to the public to make sure that they're participating in that and that their voice is heard.
All right, thank you very much. That was Joe Burgess. And now, up next, we will have Dean Heine. And Dean, here is your second question. Why did you decide to run for a county commissioner seat?
As I said, I was terribly busy. I was watching what the county commissioners were doing, how they were affecting my farming, how they affected my transportation on the roads, fire, safety. I enjoyed seeing the patrol out in the country. And I now have time. I owe all these people that served ahead of me and kept the county as safe and attractive to live in as we've been. Granted, look forward to continuing that giving my time and effort now to listening to all the problems and trying to decipher how 5 people can come together with an answer that will be the best for York County.
All right, thank you very much. That is Dean Heine. Okay, guys, believe it or not, we're halfway through. You've got 2 questions down, 2 more to come. I want to remind everybody that Nick Wallenberg could not be with us tonight. He has been deployed for the Air National Guard. He will be back to his regular schedule next week, and he said that if anybody wants to reach out to him next week, he'll be back and he'll be able to give his responses to this question if anybody is interested in Nick Wallenberg's responses. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Cool Radio for this York County Commissioner Forum. I want to remind you that we are live streaming this at coolradionow.com. That's cool with a K, coolradionow.com. The microphone is back in the hands of Leroy Ott. So, Leroy, here we go. Here is your next question. The current county jail was built in the 1980s as it is original to the courthouse. It is often overpopulated as the number of inmates are limited. Do you feel the county will have to construct a new jail in the future? And if so, how should it be paid for?
I don't see building a brand new separate jail. Maybe expanding the jail some way, remodeling the jail, absolutely. Things just need updated, and it's gonna have to come out of their budget. And that goes right back to planning again, knowing you're gonna have to do something, because it is better if we keep those people here than if we send them somewhere else, because then we have to pay someone else to keep them for us. And that's a little, every county's having this problem. It's not just York County. There is do you have any room this weekend? Do you have any room this weekend? Do you have any room? It does get moved around, but I think updating, figuring out how to use space better possibly. They are crammed in that sheriff's office already, so I would think you would have to expand if you wanted to enlarge. But I don't see a separate building off the square.
All right, thank you very much. That was Leroy Ott. Passing the microphone over to Eric Brecky. Eric, here is your 3rd question. The county absorbs a lot of costs associated with taking care of inmates at the York County Jail. It is state mandated. How do you feel the county is doing in addressing these ever-increasing costs?
As best they can, that's for sure. Lawyer fees, all kinds of medical expenses when they're in your possession, that is mandatory that you take care of them. We've been up there with the fire department several times lately, and it's not cheap to be transported and treated. So I don't know what the answer is. It's, like you said, it's mandated, but we could try to look for more funding from the state. They're kind of stingy in that way, but we could reach out to them and tell them how much of a strain it is on our county and see if we could find out some kind of resolution that could help in that regard. Yeah, that a new jail would be quite costly, but I know different counties take on other counties' inmates, and maybe we could, build a jail and take on other counties' inmates. But I think, Leroy, that was a good way. We could expand or try to figure out a way to help in that regard. But expenses are just going up and up, and we'll just have to discuss it and figure it out and do the best we can.
All right, thank you very much. That was Eric Brecky. We now move on once again to Joe Burgess for his 3rd question. Mix things up here a little bit here. Pull out your next one. All right, Joe Burgess. York County maintains 1,100 miles of county roads. It's the most expensive area of county spending to keep the county's infrastructure at top form. How do you feel about the efforts to maintain the county's roads, and could they be improved?
Well, I do have a map printed out of all the road classifications in York County, and the different 1 and 6 year plans, and so there's always just so much work going on and so many projects going on, and so there's good effort to keep those open and keep them in good condition. And I personally, I don't know about this because I haven't talked to the actual head of the roads department or anything, but I've heard about getting grants and such for pavements of different classifications of road, and I know that nobody likes washboards and everything else, and the county does their best to manage that, but it's just gonna happen at some point, and pavement over time does usually save some money on that upkeep, but the upfront cost is very large, and so that does require grants, and I would be willing to look into that option, and I have some of that stuff, but I just haven't gone into it and talked to the roads department, but I do believe that they're doing a pretty good job right now, and I believe that I would work to improve that even further if I could, and even hopefully lower the maintenance costs if I could.
Thank you very much, Joe Burkus. All right, and our final question for the third round. This one is for Dean Heine. And Dean, your third question is, serving as a county commissioner can take up a significant amount of time each week. Do you have available time to serve?
Speaking to the different commissioners and setting in on their meetings, I'm finding it takes a lot of different areas than just board meetings. It's 5 days a week. There's after hours. There's special places you're supposed to help serve and be a part of, whether you set in as a listener or whether you have a partake in some of their decisions. It's almost a full-time job. And yes, I'm willing to give up the time for that. That's giving up spending retirement time that I could be traveling with my wife. So I'm sure we'll work some of that out. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, that finishes up round number 3. I want to remind everybody that you're listening to the York County Commissioners Forum. We are on 1370 AM KAWL, York, Nebraska, and we have one more round of questions coming up for each candidate, and then we'll let each of you give a closing statement when we are done with our questions. So let's get straight into the 4th round, and Leroy Ott, here is your final question of the evening. Zoning regulations have dominated the county's Planning Zoning Commission and the county board in recent months. How do you feel about zoning for solar projects in York County?
That is the biggest thing that I've done since being sworn in on January 30th. I told somebody last month that I had read more in a month than I've read in 3 years. I've read more about energy, more about farming, more about cattle, and it comes down to when I'm trying to figure out what setbacks is the big question. What setbacks should be. I have to remember that landowners have rights. I asked somebody completely opposed to solar energy, do you want me to tell you what you can do with your land? And he said, absolutely not. But I don't want that across the road. So I try and find a place where both sides are happy and we've got way left and way right on this solar thing. And I try and work out so that the landowner has rights, but you have to remember that those rights don't allow them to harm or hurt their neighbor. So that's where we try and do things. And as commissioners, we have discussed it at every meeting. People here that go to every meeting, you know, we have people get up and talk about it at every meeting. And they want or they don't want, and we listen and we've debated. everybody that goes to the meetings knows that all 5 of us commissioners are not on the same page. But when we vote, we decide, okay, that's what we voted, that's what we're going with. And we have to get along and go on to the next thing. When I first became commissioner, I thought this was a new thing. And then somebody called me up as I was being sworn in. And I called him back afterwards and I said, yeah, I know, I just got sworn in. He goes, just so you know, this has been going on for 4 years. I said, what? So my biggest thing is try and get something done. Try and get something done so everyone can move on. Whether one person gets their way or the other, just we need to get it done so that everybody can move on.
All right, thank you very much. That was Leroy. Up next, we have Eric Brecky. This is your final question of the evening. Do you feel the security at the York County Courthouse is adequate, or should new measures be taken in today's world?
Well, 2020 is, or hindsight is 2020. You see these really bad situations around the country where there's shootings or, assaults. I think York County is very safe. I think we need to just maybe decide whether it is a big enough threat that we need to do a little bit more than we're doing, but it will cost money, and the budget is already really, really tight, and what are people willing to spend to step up that security level? And you're gonna have some expenses with, maybe metal detectors, you're gonna have security guards, salaries, and if that is what the people of York want, a little more secure building, then we can work towards that goal. Just know that we have to come up with the money and plan for it. I wish you could tell if something was going to happen ahead of time, but you can't. And it's a tragedy when you see it happening around the country. But I will probably just talk to constituents and see what they have to say, and they can reach out to me. I'm planning on being very available, email, phone, whatever, however they want to reach out to me with their concerns, and we can work out a plan for security. But I wasn't aware of that there was many issues with security. But we can see what we can find out, what the risk is, and see what we do from there.
All right, thank you very much. That was Eric Brecky, and he hands the microphone over to Joe Burgess. Joe, your final question of the evening. How do you feel about the operations of the York County Courthouse's various offices, which are run by elected officials?
Well, from what I've seen, they seem to be doing a pretty good job. And I mean, as voters, we get to hold them accountable if they aren't doing a good job and not re-elect them. And so I do think that what I've seen and what I've talked to with Daniel and I've seen pretty good communication between the departments and willing to work with each other, which you need, and that's very important. And so I guess I think that it's being run pretty well from what I can tell. I don't have any personal complaints. Every time I go in there, it's so much better than where I used to live, and the county there is just, they just did not want to help you and could not figure out how to work together, and took forever and ever, and just huge bureaucracy. But I think that in York, these different departments, they do communicate relatively well with each other and are working together to always with the budget and everything else. And so that's my experience with York County departments.
All right, thank you very much, Joe Burgess. Okay, we are all ready to our final question of the evening, and it goes to Dean Heine here. Dean, your question is, tell us about your public service, your past experiences, which may have driven you to file for office.
I would have to go back to teaching school for 30 years. You've run upon a lot of problems where you have to, what's best for the student, what's best for the parent, what's best for the district, where's the money coming from, what all these questions will come forth. graduating those students, being able to see them grow and learn from what they've experienced in school and what they've been able to apply when they're out in the world. I've been out of education since 1998, and I know second and third generations are out there doing their start. Farming is completely changed. 2 rows, 4 rows, 6 rows. All the setbacks we have to have, all the rules we have to follow, all of this has changed, but it's change that we look forward to because it's supposedly going to help us continue to have a safe and useful life in York County. Thank you.
All right, that is our final question for the evening. I'll give every one of our candidates here a chance for a closing statement. But once again, I want to remind everybody, we have 4 of the 5 candidates with us tonight. Nick Wallenberg could not be here. He got deployed to the Nebraska Air National Guard. It's a temporary deployment, and he will be back next week. If anybody wants to know Nick's answers to any of the questions tonight, please reach out to him, and he will be available to answer any of these questions. Okay, we'll just go down the line here and let everybody give a closing statement. We'll start with you, Leroy Ott.
I think the thing that I've learned the most after being assigned to be a commissioner at the end of January is how important listening is. I've stood in someone's yard for 2 hours before and had them explain their point of view to me on a subject. I've had a mom on a phone. I could hear her almost hyperventilating when she was talking to me for over an hour, and she said the same thing 3 times. But hopefully by the time she was done, she was calmed down a little bit. And when people come to the meeting at the commissioner's office every other Tuesday, we need to hear what they say. I write everything down everyone says. So in case I forget what they said, I can look at it. It's on the back of my agenda sheet. I write down what everyone says that comes up and sits at that table for 3 minutes. Because everybody's opinion has value. Everyone's opinion has value. Whether it's they like that or they like that, everyone's opinion should matter. They live in York County, they get a say. The only other thing I want to say is, I think the county works darn hard, and I know there's places to do better, but they work as hard as they can to save this county money. We share our veterans office person, Nick, with another county. We share our safety person with another county. The driver's license people, are they here every day? No, because they're in other counties. The county sheriff's office is in the courthouse. We keep finding ways to try and save money, but as we've all said, the cost of things go up. So that's one of the main things that we do, is try and save the county as much money as we can, and also try and still get them what it is that they're looking for. Thank you.
All right, that is Leroy Ott. Eric Brecky now, your closing statement.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody that's here and listening, and the other candidates for showing up. I think this is great. Public can hear what's going on, what we think. If I'm given the opportunity to serve the people of York County, I have some ideas that I think are good. I'm sure the other commissioners, I can talk about their views, and then I can hear from constituents and see what they're thinking. But ultimately, it comes down to my constituents. If they let me know, and they speak up, and enough people let me know what they want, that's my job. That's my job, is to make a wise decision based on what my constituents want. They can't all get what they want, but I'm there to orchestrate and work with the other commissioners and get the job done. And I look forward to that challenge. I think it will be an interesting job, and if I'm elected, I will enjoy doing it.
All right, thank you very much. That was Eric Brecky. Okay, our final statement from Joe Burgess.
Well, I'm Joe Burgess, and I think that government should be small, and it should be responsible, and it should be transparent with its constituents. And as a county commissioner of District 5, I would be representing District 5 on that board and listening to any constituents about their concerns, and then also working for the whole county and serving that. And I believe that government should be small, and like I said, but I also believe that my greatest assets and what I could really lend to the county is that I am a fast learner, and that I know that the county commissioners, as we heard, a lot of reading going on and just learning about every new issue that comes up and trying to plan for these things. I am good at learning that stuff, and I believe that my youth, and I believe that some energy and my enthusiasm could really help out the county board. So vote Joe.
Thank you very much, Joe Burgess. And finally, Dean Heine, your closing statement.
Top priority, pass on all the integrity and honesty that I've demonstrated at church, being treasurer for 40 years, being involved with my neighbors. They know that I'm willing to help and to listen. And I want to continue to see that type of enjoyment and activity amongst all the people of York County. Thank you.
All right, and thank you very much to all of our candidates. Let's give them all. Could not be here today because he has been deployed to the Nebraska Air National Guard, but he said he will be back next week if anyone has any questions. Need to have a big thank you to Melanie Wilkinson because she did all of the heavy lifting here, Melanie. All I have to do is show up and ask a few questions. I am Gene Curtis. Thank you to Austin Pistolka being here, putting on the audio portion, the video portion. I'm handling the audio portion. Again, thank you to a great crowd showing up, and remember, everybody, get out and vote. This has been our York County Commissioners Forum, and we thank everybody for participating on Cool Radio.